What's up? It is actually happening. I'm finally on this. It is finally happening. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all that cool shit. Welcome to the Daily Mind Podcast, the very first episode to actually be streamed on TikTok. Yeah, believe it or not. And it couldn't happen at a crazier time. Today is actually the 2-year anniversary of my podcast, so they couldn't come at a better time. It's amazing. I didn't even know I got the notification to finally start streaming live. It's crazy. It happened right on my anniversary. And I think that my buddy Mario, he the other day, he basically kind of hashtag or did an at TikTok like, hey, verify this man's age so we could get this shit going. And just now I just been verified. So, I'm actually pretty happy. I was streaming on Instagram for a bit. I did some test episodes. And they came out okay. This was just until, I got my footing until TikTok finally verified me. And they finally did. And it couldn't happen at a better time. Thank you so much. All right. Now, it is the 2-year anniversary. But since this is my first, I like to call it a webisode. But this is actually my 384th episode. The show's been going on for 2 years. I'll get into all that, why it's so late in the game that I'm now streaming in due time. But this is the Daily Mind. Let me give you a little introduction to who I am and what this show is about. So my name is Austin, all right? Last name, you'll figure it out, whatever the case is. This is a society and culture podcast, meaning I cover virtually everything. And in the process of covering everything, I'm kind of no filter, no holds barred. I discuss everything. I'm very receptive to what people have to say. Thanks for joining, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. And I'm all open ears. I'm in the middle. I'm a moderate person. I'm not too political, left wing, right wing. It's all the same fucking bird at the end of the day. But I'm a really open person. And that was the sort of the premise of when I came up with the show 2 years ago. It's been going on for 2 years, and today is now the 2-year anniversary of this podcast. And I thank all of you for joining and celebrating this little momentous occasion. It may not seem like much to a lot of you, but to me, it's a pretty big deal. I'm a podcaster, obviously. I have a career going, not going to get too much into it. I started podcasting more or less like a hobby, and I wanted to become a little bit more than a hobby. I have this vision of this becoming a little bit something more. Who knows? A lot of people are streaming, going viral, podcast, everything. It's really it's competitive in a sense, but I enjoy it. This podcast, I came up with the concept for this. Actually, this was a kind of a group effort in a sense in the beginning. 2 years ago, back around 2 summers ago, I was training in New York, and a group of me and my buddies will just sit there joking around, making fun of people, just bullshitting, playing cards, playing dominoes, everything. One day, one of my guys said that we should make a podcast. And I laughed at it. I didn't think very much of it. And, but then I took it a step further. I kept that idea. And I did some research on podcasting, how to get into it. You know what I mean? It's not as easy as many people may think. So, took 2 months, went back home, and October, I bought this really, really cheap laptop. I mean, really, really cheap laptop. And, well, this was actually before. No, my first season, I started with just a cell phone. That was it. I started my first half of season 1 with just a cell phone. Then I took it a step further, bought a cheap laptop and a karaoke mic. Then I did some research over time on sound mixers and better equipment. And the rest is history. So on October 6th, 2022, I started the first episode. It was only just 7 minutes, and it was just an introduction of myself and the show. And when I listen back at it, I sound so nervous and unsure of myself when I did that episode. But I've come a long way. I'm a lot more confident. I can bear to see myself, like I'm looking at myself right now as I stream. And, it's taken off from there. So, over time, I came up with small little creative ideas for the show. I've had a couple of guests here and there. That's like one of my biggest issues is trying to get people on the show. I've had some people before. I've done 4 episodes, and it's usually a segment that I call shooting the shit, where it basically I'll grab one of my friends or whatever. We'll have an episode, talk about whatever, just kind of shooting the shit. So on Mondays with the show, I do a little thing called News Out of the Hat. If I do a show on Monday, I just talk about news, just not like your typical CNN, Fox News. I find some news out there, and it's a humorous show. You stick around, you'll find out. And then on Fridays, I do what I like to call, is there such thing as a stupid question? If you know the website Quora, Quora, that has got to be the funniest website. It's a question and answer site. Ask anything, answer anything type site. And what I do is I go on and I look at some of these questions and answers. And of course, I give some insight of my own just to see what it's about. And the rest is history. So when I came up with the show, The Daily Mind, the idea of The Daily Mind is basically to talk about what's on our minds every single day. There's a lot of topics that go on in our heads and stuff like that. And what I like to do is I like to listen, when I talk to people, I listen because it's inspiration for the show. And what I do is I listen, I ear hustle just to hear things that may make an interesting topic for a show. And it could be anything. I covered a lot of things, and there's still more to come. That's usually how. So the Daily Mind was originally a show that I did every single day. But the problem is you get like a podcast version of writer's block. And what happens is it becomes harder to come up with topics every single day. Not to mention, you burn out. You burn out a lot of topics you could think off the top of your head. And it's kind of, it messes with you a little bit. But lately, I've been not doing episodes every single day. I will do episodes here and there in between the week. On average, maybe 3-4 episodes, 5 episodes a week. And the way I determine whether or not I'm going to do an episode is just literally a flip of a coin. That's it. Nothing special, nothing new. And that's how I run the show now. Like I said, I'm just trying to get more guests. And I'm giving you guys on TikTok an idea of what this show is about. And again, I am more, you guys are more than welcome to chime in, write what you think is an interesting topic, because I need as much info. Because the show feeds off the people. It feeds off what we think about every day. So I would love the reception of like you guys giving me topics, ideas. I will write it down in my little pad. Okay, this person, let's say for example, Mevi Castillo said, hey, let's just why don't you talk about this? And, Gab will say something like, why don't you write about this or talk about this? And I will do it. Just go down my little Rolodex of topics and basically figure out what I'm going to talk about today. All right. It's a pretty cut and dry show, people. It's nothing crazy. Like I said, I could get political. I'm one of those people, I could talk politics with anyone. I don't care who you support. I'm going to talk to you. I don't let politics get in the way of friendships, potential friendships, and family. Because I've seen too many of friendship or whatever get torn apart because of politics. Let's put that shit aside. Like, let's be mature. Like, the next month is going to be a crazy month for everyone. Let's be a little mature about it. Anyway, so this is the very first episode on TikTok. Again, let me just make a disclaimer. If you do listen to podcasts, okay, I did mention this is the 384th episode of this podcast, and this is the very first episode that is now being streamed on TikTok. So if you want to go back and see what this show's about, what you may have missed, my main hub is Spotify. You go on Spotify and look up the Daily Mind podcast, Austin Edwards, that's me. And you can listen to whatever you want. All right, let's see. L. Dylan Davis, Trump 2024. Talk about how cool Trump is. Listen, as a fellow New Yorker, okay, I'm from New York, by the way. Again, you will learn more about me, and I appreciate the input, L. Dylan Davis. Thank you. Trump is from New York like I am. If you don't notice I'm from New York, you can hear it in my accent. I'm from New York, all right? I remember, like, I'm pretty old to tell you, growing up with Trump and watching all the things he did. Like, I didn't grow up with him, no. But watching him on TV and movies, he was, like, the coolest guy. Everybody at one point wanted to be Trump, okay? He was in movies. He was in the Pizza Hut commercials. He was everywhere. He's one of the funniest guys, I think, ever in political history because he doesn't talk like a politician. He talks like a New York businessman. That's kind of what I like about him. He's not like your typical politician, okay? He is actually a pretty cool guy, but he's somebody that is not very liked nowadays. The old school Trump was admired by many. Things have now changed quite a bit. All right, so, but I do appreciate that. Now, I want to go over, let's see, maybe my top 10 episodes, okay? Just to kind of fill you guys in and what this show is about and what I talk about. Like I said, I cover virtually everything. I think my most recent episode I talked about was literally the other day. I talked about car accidents and how do people keep getting into these damn accidents? Of course, cell phones, GPS. There's a lot of reasons, but it just blows my mind because where I live at, it's not a big city. It is literally no shit 3, 4, 5 accidents per day on average, and it's probably like avoidable accidents. I don't understand how these people even get into an accident like that. Just it blows my mind. All right. Anyway, I mean, if you guys got any questions in the chat, feel free. Ask me about the show. Again, it's on Spotify, but whatever platform you listen to podcasts, all you have to do is type in the Daily Mind. It will pop up. And go down the list. It is literally 383 episodes, this being the 384th episode. So, again, chime in. Give me some topics. Like I said, I'm very receptive. I'm very open-minded, thick-skinned. Just let me know what you got. And like I said, I will take it into consideration as long as you tune back in. And I will talk about it. I have no issue with that. All right, bet. Oh, DeMarcus, hey man, thanks for joining. Much appreciated. I'm happy you actually had the time to join, whether you stick around for a minute or the rest of the show, it don't matter. I do appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right, so what else to talk about this show? I mean, like I said, it's cut and dry, right? So I'm going to give you guys basically what my top 10 episodes are. Now, every anniversary, this is only the second fucking one, but I like to go over my top 10 episodes. And it gives you guys an idea of basically what I talk about because it's anything that society and culture throws our way. All right. So I'm going to go down. Well, I'm going to start from the number 10. All right. Now, the number 10 episode I have on this list, that was one of my top 10, is from season 12. It's called Shooting the Shit. Now, again, Shooting the Shit is where I have a guest on the show and we talk about virtually anything. And I mean anything. And it could be anything from A to Z. From apples to fucking zebras. I don't know. And this particular episode, I'm not quite sure why it's my top episode. However, though, I remember the guest I had on there. He goes by Captain James. And I think he was in that episode. And it was actually a pretty fulfilling episode. And we covered a lot of things from, temptations and other things like that. I remember that episode very well that we covered. It was a fun episode. I gotta admit, I wish I could do more of Shooting the Shit episodes. Like I said, I just gotta find the people that want to be on the show, and then I just bust out the other mic and just basically just shoot the shit. That's it. All right, the 9th episode, number 9, is a new. It was an episode I did in the first season called A New Hotel Experience. I will never forget this particular hotel. All right, this particular hotel, it's called the Baymont. I'm not going to give the location. I'm not here to bash this particular location. But I remember me and my wife, we were getting ready for the military ball. And hotels everywhere were booked. We found this particular hotel. And this hotel was decent price. But man, the inside of that shit was just, oof, God. There were fingerprints on the headboard. I don't know who was in there doing what. But I think it's quite obvious what somebody was doing in that room prior to us getting there. So there was mold on the refrigerator door, and there was mold on the door, some on the ceiling, and there was a dead roach. That did it for me, and that was instantly an episode because I'm like, we go to hotels, we go to Airbnbs, and that we hope that, that they're decent. But sometimes you go in, you might find something you don't want to find, even at a 5-star hotel. So I did that episode. That was probably it was within the first 10 episodes I did that. And that was actually a pretty popular episode, just simply because, It's a hotel with roaches and mold. I mean, who doesn't want shit like that? All right, number 8 on this list was the In Living Color episode. So I did something called Sketch Comedy Week, where I talked about sketch comedy shows like SNL, Mad TV, In Living Color, and then of course the kids sketch shows from Nickelodeon. So I did the In Living Color episode, and it's one of my favorite sketch comedy shows. Only lasted 4 years though, and while it was extremely popular at the time, it came with a lot of controversy and people wanted it canceled and all this other stuff. But out of that sketch comedy series, that was actually the most popular episode, was In Living Color. If you've never seen In Living Color, I highly advise you to go see In Living Color. You probably might find it on YouTube, or it's streaming somewhere, or maybe you might find the DVD box set. Yeah, man, I'm finally on, man. Mario, I think it was you, when you wrote that message, I think it was you that kind of like opened the floodgates to allow them, that let me on, because I'm telling you right now, it's funny, like right after, I just found out minutes ago actually that that I'm live now. I just had to verify one more thing before I started. Anyway, I appreciate it, man. All right, so yeah, Living Color was number 8 on my list. This next episode, which was the very first episode, it was number 1 for a while. But this episode is now, I believe, number 7 on my list. The very first episode, the intro. Like I said, if you listen to the first episode, it was the most nerve-wracking thing, because I remember I put the phone down on the ground, on the table, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, my fingers hovering over the record button, and I'm like, man, am I about to really fucking do this right now? So I'm sitting there, I'm looking, boop, I hit it, I'm recording, okay, and I was nervous. I did this episode, it was only 7 minutes long, okay, and the thing I didn't understand was that it was number 1 for months, this episode. I'm like, it's just the intro. But it made perfect sense as to why it was number 1. Because new people were figuring out what the show was about. So of course they're going to listen to the first episode, and they're like, okay, let's see what this is about. All right, it's a 7-minute intro of this loser introducing himself to a show I've never heard about before. And then the rest was history. Right now it's sitting at number 7. Like I said, I think it's going to stay on the list of top 10 for a while. As new people are now introduced to the show, they will be able to play that first episode, so it may not leave that top 10 spot anytime soon. All right, number 6, I did an episode on breakups. Yeah, I did an episode on breakups. Forgot what season this was. It's not listed on here, but did a simple episode on breakups. In fact, that was the episode I did. That's the episode I did right after Valentine's Day. I think I did it a day before Valentine's Day or a day after Valentine's Day, but I remember I did this episode, and yeah. Oh man, appreciate all the likes, man. Keep it going, keep it going. We got to get this show somewhere. We got to get it somewhere. Yeah, it's like rapid fire likes right now. I feel I'm blushing, quite literally. So I did breakups, and the timing couldn't have been at a better time. Again, it was around Valentine's Day. Either way you look at it, it was like, what the fuck? Why would you come up with an episode on breakups during Valentine's Day? Because it happens. It happens. People break up on Valentine's Day. Do they not? Like, people break up on Christmas. People break up on 4th of July. People break up on fucking Thanksgiving. Yeah, why not? People break up on Election Day. It happens. All right, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5, the 5th episode of my top episodes. Pet peeves. Now, this was a 2-part episode. What the hell was that? I just had a crown and I had some anime makeup on under my eyes. Thanks. Pet peeves. I did a 2-part episode on pet peeves because it was that episode was actually inspired by the shit that I have to deal with at work that pisses me off. One of my pet peeves is 2 people talking to me at the same time. Like, they're trying to say one thing and they're saying another thing, and it blows my mind. I don't like it. All right, so that was one of my things. I did a 2-part episode. Only part 1 though is on the top of this list, and not sure where part 2 is. I guess part 1 was better than part 2, but maybe part 2 may end up on here. No, Let me see. Thanks to Marcus. Appreciate that. Keep liking it. Keep liking it. All right. Number 4. Now, you guys are going to learn a little bit more about me. I'm old. Okay. I'm not telling you what my age is, but some of the people who are commenting know exactly how old I am, or maybe they don't. But this will give you somewhat of a hint of where my age is. And when you do find out what my age is, you will not believe it. So the number 4 episode, top episode, was growing up in the 90s. That's right, growing up in the 90s. I'll give you a hint how old I may be. Most of my demographic is between the ages of 34 and 39. So take a guess how old I am, okay? So I did an episode called Growing Up in the 90s, okay? One thing about me is you're going to learn that I'm a very nostalgic person. I live in the past. My head is always in the past. I need to start thinking into the future, I know. But I'm always thinking about the past and the good times. I mean, aren't some of us a little bit nostalgic? And not all of us. Maybe some of us had some really fucked up past. But a lot of us do have some pretty decent past, and some of us just don't. I had a pretty decent up and coming. My mom passed away at a very early age. I was about 5 years old. And my aunt, who's basically my mom, took care of me and my brother. But while she took care of us, we were well taken care of. We were well fed, went to school, got good grades, everything. You know, and we definitely had a really good upbringing. So I always think about those times. So I did an episode of Growing Up in the 90s, and that was perhaps the best decade I've ever grew up in. So, I mean, we had everything. Everybody worked. Everybody drove big SUVs, the best TV shows, the best cartoons, the best food. Taco Bell was like fucking 89, 79 cents for what you may pay $5 for. It was a time. The 90s was a time. And it's definitely a generation gap compared to today, where back then you could say things and there were things that were taboo. But now there are more things that's not as taboo, but it's more of a PC culture. I'm living and telling you right now, the 90s was an unfiltering time. It really was. Number 3 on my list, best cartoons from the 90s. It was published December of 2022. Again, I'm nostalgic as shit. I am a very nostalgic person. Best cartoons from the 90s. I don't have any particular favorites, but I remember before I went to school, it was always Pinky and the Brain, Sailor Moon, Pokemon, Kids WB, people, come on. I know, I'm showing my age. Take a guess in the fucking chat or something how old I am. I mean, growing up in the 90s, take a guess. Yeah, you'll be surprised. I get ID'd every time because people think I'm younger than what I am. But no, I did this episode on December 18th of 2022, basically last year. I mean, 2 years ago. Sorry. Just kind of screwed up. 2 years ago. And I listed, I forgot what was actually the number 1 cartoon on that list. But you could comment below if you remember growing up in the 90s, what's your favorite cartoon? Maybe I might just do an episode particularly on that cartoon. We'll see. All right, now these last two episodes have been fighting for first and second place for the longest time, and they're still doing it. Number 2, marriage counseling. I did an episode of marriage counseling on January 25th last year, with just 6 days before my birthday. I did marriage counseling. Now, myself, I'm married, all right? This month, it will be 12 years married. 12 years. I know. In this day and age, you'd be lucky if you could go past 5 years. But I did an episode on marriage counseling, and I forgot what the inspiration was for that episode. I don't know. I heard something. Or maybe it was just one of those things that kind of popped up out of nowhere, and it was like, boom, marriage counseling. Me and my wife, we never needed marriage counseling. We're pretty good. But, you know, we bicker. We don't fight. I say we bicker over little things. I get mad over little things. It's whatever. But marriage counseling was at one point, it was my number 1 episode. And then it slid down to number 2 because, again, it's been at a toss-up between what I'm about to reveal, the number 1 episode, which is number 1 episode is Christmas movies. I kid you not. I did this episode December of 2022. Okay? Christmas movies. It was the perfect time. But sometime last year, this episode blew up. And it stuck as the number 1 episode for almost a year. Christmas movies. I went over the list of what was the best Christmas movies virtually of all time, from the 60s up till today. Here's another little fun fact about me. I love the holidays. Favorite time of the year. Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. Favorite time of the year. And this episode is still number one, but marriage counseling, according to my analytics, is not that far behind. But I think as I roll more into the Christmas season now, I think Christmas movies is probably going to be number one for a very long time. Now, do I have any favorite particular episodes? I kind of like the is there such thing as stupid question episodes, because I'm literally on Quora and I'm reading all these questions and answers, and there's some of the most bizarre things. There are, if anybody has ever told you that there's no such thing as a stupid question, there is. There actually is a such thing as a stupid question. At some point this week, we might be lucky to have that episode. If I do an episode on Friday, there will be an episode on if there's a such thing as stupid question. If I do an episode tomorrow, there will be an episode, News Out of a Hat, where I pick random news stories, I read it, I critique it, and again, it doesn't matter what it is. And I know now that I'm live on TikTok, I have to be a little bit careful of language. Shit. Yeah. But no, certain things I need to kind of be easy with. The past few episodes on Instagram, I streamed, and it wasn't really catching on. See, TikTok is different because TikTok, it's everybody, just strangers from all around the world. People on Instagram, it was more the people that I already know. And it's funny, I've done episodes about TikTok challenges, which you'll find somewhere on that long list of episodes on the podcast. I've done TikTok challenges. Now, I'm going to be real with you guys. All right, be real. TikTok, don't ban me. There was a point where I was just not a fan of TikTok. But it really wasn't the fact that, I think for me, it was the challenges. The challenges that people were doing, thank God there's not very much of them now. But when TikTok was really popping off, there was so many TikTok challenges. And I think that's what made me dislike the platform, was simply because of the challenges. Now, you may be asking, then, you've had your podcast for so long. Why did you wait 2 years to finally stream? Well, because I treated this podcast more of a hobby. It was more like, it was more just like audio. I just was more comfortable with audio podcasting. But I realized that there's a resurgence, or a surge rather, of podcasts going streaming and video. So, of course, I started podcasting very late. I didn't want to be left in the dust. I regret not starting this podcast during the pandemic. That was the perfect time to start a podcast for anybody. Just simply because nobody was able to go anywhere. So what else can you possibly do besides Netflix and chill, or play video games, or play solitaire on Windows 95? I don't know what you people do, but that was a time I should have started, but I never thought about it. I never paid any mind to it. But what better time than October 6th, 2022? And the rest is history. Now I'm streaming on here. I'm trying to make the podcast a little bit more than just a hobby. If it gets big, fantastic. If it don't, that's fine too. I'm still going to do it. Even if I got just one listener, I still will do an episode, because that one person took the time to listen to the show. That's all it took. One person, and I will do an episode. But see, now I'm opening the floodgates with TikTok, and there are a lot of people that will join on the show or share the show or whatever. So who knows where the show is going to go? I don't know. But it's a really good show. I mean, some episodes, I will be honest, with throwaway episodes. Some episodes I actually don't like. I felt like some of these episodes I could have done a lot better. But that's the whole thing. You're learning. You know what I mean? Rail Enthusiast. The Rail Enthusiast. Hey, man, how you doing? Thanks for joining. But that's just the whole point. You know what I mean? There's some episodes that's going to be boring if you go listen to it. But as far as streaming, it's different. The energy is different. I can feel the energy different than just me recording an audio and uploading it, and then that's that. I feel something different. So, let's see where the show goes. If you guys got any questions before I wrap the show, let me see. Another fact of the show is I try to keep the show at about a half hour every time. Sometimes the show will go more than a half hour. I had an episode that went a whole hour, and it was a shooting the shit episode with a buddy of mine, David. He and we talked about best actors or comedians. No, we talked about best comedians of all time. And we went a whole hour and 2 minutes with that. No, sorry, hour and 5 minutes. We went a whole hour doing that. That was actually one of my favorite episodes that I've done. Shooting the Shit is absolutely one of my favorite episodes. If you guys, I'll give you guys about a minute or so down below. Ask me anything about the show. Ask me about myself. I'm receptive. Throw whatever you got. Ask me anything. You guys already know my page. You guys can leave comments, whatever. What I really want from you guys is that I want you guys to give me ideas. Thanks for the mustache. I used to look like that during puberty. Yeah. So I would like for you guys to give me ideas, topics, anything that you want to hear from a different perspective. Now, when you listen to podcasts, you heard it all. Everybody has talked about everything. My favorite dog breed? American Bully. Oh, and Shiba Inus. Shiba Inus and American Bullies are my top favorite dog breeds. I had an American Bully. She's being well taken care of by my uncle now. I miss Coqueta. That's her name. Coqueta. Yeah. I'll show you guys a picture of this dog. This dog was a fantastic fucking dog. It's just that with my career, military and whatnot, I can't always take care of her. I'm always out and about. My wife works, so there was never really a lot of time. And it wasn't fair to her to always be home. And then, you know, allergies out here in Tennessee is brutal on an American Bully. Anybody who owned American Bullies, you know that these dogs have really serious skin allergies. So it wasn't fair. She's doing a lot better in New York, though. However, I will show you guys a picture of this dog, maybe perhaps the next episode. Like I said, ask me anything. Again, before I wrap this up, it's 2 years I've been doing this show. I know I'm late to the streaming party. I know that I've conceded my defeat with TikTok because, again, I was never a big fan. But for the show to flourish and take on a new platform and evolve, why not? I mean, everybody has to, you know, if you really want to get your name out there or get yourself out there, you gotta do what you gotta do. All right, Xbox. Mario just asked me, Xbox or PlayStation? You know PlayStation all day, man. I don't do... Okay, quick story about an Xbox since he brought it up. Now, back in 2001, I got an Xbox for Christmas, the original big OG Xbox. I got this Xbox, and no shit, 2 days out of the box, my cousin, who was spending the night with us, he puts in Halo, OG Halo. He puts it in there. The goddamn Xbox got a yellow light, and it broke. It never was fixed. And my aunt, at the time, bought it for us, but she threw away the receipt, so we couldn't even take the Xbox back. And I knew no one that can fix it, so I ended up switching for a GameCube, and the rest is history. Yes, I love GameCube. GameCube is... I don't kill me for this, all right? GameCube, I think, is a little bit better than PlayStation 2. Don't hit me. Now... The reason why I say that is because the graphics are a little bit better on GameCube, and they had like some really good games, but PlayStation 2 will always be where it is, all right? Big PlayStation fan right here. I'm sorry. If you don't like Xbox, I'm sorry for you. It's okay. It's going to be fine. I'll give you a hug, whatever. But no, I'm a PlayStation fan. God, this ringtone or whatever keeps going off in my ear. It's my phone. Oh my God, I'm about to turn that shit down. All right, one more question. Hit me with what you got, and then I'm going to just sayonara. Now, again, I don't do this show every single day. All right, it's every other day. You'll know when I'm live. Every episode that I record now, audio-wise, is going to be done live. So, if you don't catch the live, you can catch the audio on those platforms that I mentioned earlier. Again, if you're on TikTok, you will get the notification. I'm streaming. All right, I'm streaming. All right, well, anyway, since there ain't no more questions, DeMarcus, thanks, man, for joining. I really appreciate all the love, the likes. Mario, I appreciate it as well. And that one dude that asked me how cool is Trump, I appreciate that too. Because, again, I'm all about input, people. Major input. I need input, all right? Ask me anything, all right? Again, I'm not really apolitical in a sense. Like I said, I'm a moderate, all right? Whether you Republican, Democrat, I will listen to what you got to say, and I will not discriminate, all right? That's how open-minded I am, and that's what this show is about. All right, I'm wrapping this up. Thanks for listening to the Daily Mind podcast, but most importantly, thanks for watching the stream. I appreciate it. Shout out to TikTok to finally let me stream on this platform. I'm late to the party, but shit, there's still people out there trying to get on TikTok and all this other stuff with what they got. All right. Thanks for listening. We will do this again some other time. What am I looking at here? Where the hell is my I can't even find my mouse arrow. There it is. That shit blends in with the white background of my recording software. Can't even see it sometimes. Damn, I feel like there's something else I need to say. But save it for another episode because there will be many more to come. All right, thanks. Thank you. Now I just got to figure out how to cut this stream off. See, I feel like an old man, old viejo trying to figure out how to use Microsoft Word or some shit. All right, thank you for taking the time, and all of you that have joined me, thank you. All right, have a good one. We'll do this again next time, and yeah, welcome to the Daily Mind. Please have a seat. I'm gonna be here for a while. Peace out. Have a good one. Ciao. All right.